Hello, everybody. Hello. Today we're gonna be going over, the Sevian Pokemon in Pokemon Radical Red. What is Pokemon Radical Red? Pokemon Radical Red is a ROM hack made by Supercell, and I believe some of their friends. I don't know if it's a he or she. It's set in Fire Red, and it changes the game so that all the battles are more difficult, and you have access to, like, every Pokemon. Every Pokemon. And, overall, it's just an incredible... It's easily the best Pokemon game. Right? If this is the only ROM hack you've ever played, and you've played all the official Pokemon games, it's the best Pokemon game. Like, no competition. But... one thing they did, and they kept it to a very minimum, you can see it's one, maybe two Pokemon per generation, is they decided to make the Sevi Islands have their own regional Pokemon, the way that Alola Galar, Hizui, and Paldea do. And they are all very cool and amazing. The only one that doesn't really do it for me design-wise, I think, is Dhelmise. Kind of just like normal Dhelmise, but a little ooh. But all these Pokemon are insanely cool, and I'm going to be going over how they are for an in-game playthrough, right? So what's an in-game playthrough as opposed to like a Nuzlocke or like a casual run, right? And I'm going to assume, because I've played on easy mode min grinding, normal mode, and normal mode min grinding, I'm going to assume that you're playing probably easy or normal, and not any of the higher things. A lot of these Pokemon I can't really discuss on higher difficulties because they take away options from you from your movesets. Setup moves and certain abilities and moves in general just get taken away from you, so I can't talk about those. And this isn't really for Nuzlocking. I don't... This game is like fun without Nuzlocking. I know that it won't get you as many, views. You get more views if you go, look, attempt 200, you know, but, the game is just fun. Like, it's not like a normal Pokemon game where it's so easy that you need to, like, introduce other elements. It's, like, actually just fun. But, the rule set for an in-game, for me, is going to be that you do play on set mode, even if you have the option to play on Switch. You're never ever going to use an item in a battle, so, like, you're never going to heal Sol, you're never going to X item, right? And you're never going to, like, ludicrously overlevel the gym. Like, I think early on, your first level cap is, like, 20-something, and Brock is, like, level 11. Like, we're not doing that, right? But, like, when you get to the Elite Four, they're, like, level 82, and you can go up to level 88, and it's like, I'm gonna consider that kind of fair. It's still an advantage, but it's not like being level, like, 30 when the opponent is like 15. There's a bit of a difference, right? But I think the last thing we need to go over before we start talking about these Pokemon and comparing them to their other variants is the tiers. So the way that you obtain Sevian Pokemon inside Radical Red is after defeating Erica for the first time and Koga for the first time, an assistant, one of the lab men, will walk up to you inside the Pokemon Center. I'm sorry, my voice is getting hoarse. They'll walk up to you inside the Pokemon Center, and they'll give you an egg that will randomly be one of these. However, once you hatch the first egg, whichever one it is, the other egg is always guaranteed to not be the same Pokemon. So if you hatch Sevian Dodrio, you never hatch it again out of the second egg. You can only hatch one of the other Sevian Pokemon. Other than that, and then obviously you can catch them on the Sevi Isles, but the Sevi Isles are post-game, and unfortunately most of these really aren't designed to be like super giga OP post-game Pokemon like the way Ubers are, but I think that's because you can also obtain them from the very start of the game when you get on New Game Plus. You can enter the code Sevian at a Pokemart, and you'll get a copy of every first stage. So all these Pokemon down here, and like the Carnivine and Dhelmise. You'll get all the Pokemon at the very start of the game. So we're going to be talking about these as if you have them from like a New Game Plus, or if you get them from the eggs. Which is why S tier is for the 2 Pokemon that I think is worth save scumming for from the eggs. And then we'll just tier the rest of them as like, pretty good, kind of bad, and then the worst Sevian Pokemon. Which I only think one Pokemon is actually C tier. It's still good. All these Pokemon are good. None of them are bad. I just think that the worst Pokemon could be considered to be like, maybe kind of like opportunity cost in and of itself, right? Just because like, it's a little But, I think with all that, we are ready to get started. So starting off, we have Sevian Dodrio. Sevian Dodrio is a fire ground type and has access to the abilities you'll see on screen. I'm going to put all the stats up there so that you can see them with your eyes. Very cool. I'm really only going to talk about what stands out on these Pokemon as being noteworthy. So, sorry if I don't cover every facet of a Pokemon. I don't care if Dodrio earns Peck at level 10. Very cool. But I think what's important to talk about is the fact that it's a fire ground type with Rock Head. And that is incredible. You've also you got the 125 attack stat, the 110 speed. Beautiful. It's what we like to see. Level 31 evolution. So if you get this thing with the New Game Plus, it's pretty early. Way earlier than you were going to get to Erica anyways. And it's like not even unusable as Doduo. It's very good. The notable moves you get from evolution are High Horsepower, Stomping Tantrum, Swords Dance, Double Edge Flare Blitz. Will-O-Wisp, which we need to talk about, is buffed in this ROM hack as giving you perfect accuracy if you're a fire type, which means that Doduo guarantee hits its Will-O-Wisp, so you can put Will-O-Wisp on like an otherwise offensive set and just randomly status your opponent to like help your team. You get access to Brave Bird, Stone Edge, which has 90% accuracy, Headlong Rush. Then in the TM department, we've got Earthquake, Rock Slide, which is now 100% accurate, Stealth Rock, and U-Turn. And you get Iron Head through the tutor, which I believe is now TM. This is like right on the cusp of 4.1, so if I'm mistaken something, I'll like put it on screen with like a pink text with like green drop shadow. Maybe not though, that's really ugly. But yeah, you've got insane speed and attack, and with Rockhead, you just get to spam Flare Blitz. That's this thing's job. It functions really well on a Sun team, because you just get to come in and just get an absolutely devastating Flare Blitz. And even without it, you're an excellent choice bander. You're fast enough to just go 252 Jolly into your speed stat, and even on like the EV mode to still outspeed a ton of things and then just be like devastatingly powerful. You're available very early. You have like a very amazing matchup against Lieutenant Surge because you actually get access to it like very early. So you'll actually be able to use like full Dodrio instead of Doduo for Lieutenant Surge, and because his team is actually balanced, you probably won't get to sweep, but you'll actually get to take out something massive. Like I'm almost certain that this thing has high horsepower for that battle, and if you can get a way to get rid of the berry, you can like one-shot Belly Bolt with this sometimes, but I might be mistaken. It's very useful for that battle because that Belly Bolt is so tanky because of Choppleberry. It might be, no, I think it's Shookaberry because of Shookaberry and then Electromorphosis or whatever it's called. And then beyond that, you also have like Flare Blitz eventually. I don't know if you have it for Erica, but once you do get it, it just becomes your spam move. You have like basically Earthquake the moment you evolve, and then you can get Earthquake, and then eventually you get like close combat for ground types, and you can like run Brave Bird with Rockhead once you get it. You get it when you defeat the two sisters in Celadon City, which is a little late into the game, but if you're Rockhead, then you're not taking any real calls. You can just throw it out for free. It's a very cool design. I know I should have started with that, but I love the like Trojan helmet design kind of thing going on. It looks so epic. It's just a fast physical attacker. It's gonna explode if you touch it. Don't try to like, you know, pivot it unless you're like absorbing Will-O-Wisp or Thunderbolt. But even then, you're a physical attacker that can't be burned. You're able to just like absorb electric attacks. So even then, it's not worthless defensively, and you've got like the utility of Will-O-Wisp. You can even like do a Focus Sash Stealth Rock like attack lead, where you run like U-turn and then your Flare Blitz Headlong Rush Stab. It's incredibly flexible. You can throw whatever move you want on there. If you want, you can even throw... I might have forgot to put this on the list, but I think it even gets Jump Kick by level up, which is like a 100 fighting move. If it gets High Jump Kick, you could put High Jump Kick and Stone Edge on the set with Wide Lens, which would make that 99% accurate. It'd be like amazing. This is a good ass Pokemon. I think that this is honestly... It's really tough to say this because these are like all... Dude, I turned my fan off so that the recording would be slightly better quality, but dude, my computer's a fucking lawnmower. Did you just hear that? Okay, so I think I do want to say, I think for now this might be one of the two Pokemon. It's incredible because it's amazing from the start if you get it on New Game Plus Sevian, and it's like pretty damn good right from the moment you would get it and like sell it on City, because you already have access to like the EV training and the IV maxing and the move tutors and like the ability changers and all that right next door at Saffron. So it's either like amazing when you don't have as many options, or you can fully customize it the moment you get it. It's just like incredible. Fast physical attacker. You'll love to see it. Next up is Sevian Ursaring. You've heard of Marshadow. Get ready for Marshmallow. Ursaluna Crescent Moon. He's quite big. He's quite large. He's dragging his corpse behind him. This is really goofy. This is a ghost fighting type with access to Vanilla Ursaring's abilities, Guts, and Quick Feet. Very similar stat spread, I believe, to Jotonian Ursaring, so it's actually like incredibly strong with the Guts boost, and like pretty like surprisingly fast with a Quick Feet boost. But recently added in 4.1 is Iron Fist, which works out perfectly on Ursaring. You've got like amazing bulk all around. Maybe not incredible, but like for an offensive Pokemon, like 199 is like fine. And then you've got like 110 attack and like 55 speed is just on the cusp of fast enough for something like Scarf or Quick Feet. And you're like an extremely early level 28 evolution, so you get this thing for Surge, which is pretty nice. That's like the first significant jump up. I think Misty's probably more of a jump up in difficulty than Surge is, but Surge is still quite like difficult if you don't have like a million ground types on your team. You get access to Brick Break, Hammer Arm, Shadow Sneak, Shadow Punch, which in this ROM hack is buffed from 60 power all the way to 80. Pretty good. It's also going to be buffed on Ursaring specifically because of Iron Fist, so you basically get like a Poltergeist that doesn't have like the item requirement or accuracy buff or accuracy penalty. That's like pretty good. Shadow Sneak. You're a ghost, so you get Will-O-Wisp for some reason. Destiny Bond, Drain Punch, Close Combat. You get things like Bulk Up, Rock Slide, Shadow Claw, which is also buffed to 80, but like it doesn't matter because you have Iron Fist, Shadow Punch. Earthquake, Stone Edge, Swords Dance, Elemental Punches, Knockoff, and the buffed Play Rough, which is no longer 90-90, it's 90-100% accuracy. Still pretty good. And through breeding you can get Belly Drum, which if you run Belly Drum on like a Quick Feed set and you can like figure out a way to guarantee yourself to live one hit, that's just over. You can also run Belly Drum and Trick Room and invest like entirely into HP and attack, and then dump your speed. But we're gonna get to this later. Trick Room isn't very. It's not the best. But there's like a ton of ways to like go with this guy, but like just the straightforward 4 attacks, like max attack, max HP or speed is like perfectly valid. It's like really good. It does feel slightly underwhelming now that we do have Ursaluna and Ursaluna Blood Moon, but it's like perfectly fine. And if you get it through Sevian, this thing can just be a team member like the whole game. But really, for random battles, like outside of, I believe, gym battles and like Team Rocket boss battles, you also have the option to do the classic Nuzlocke combo, right? Of pre-statusing your Pokemon and then also giving them an item. So, like, let's say that you're going through a route and you have a choice band, but your Ursaring has guts, you can like give it a burn just by like holding the flame orb in like a random battle and then exiting and then slapping the choice band on. So for like all the normal trainers in the game, which like aren't that difficult, but like you still get to like basically give him double choice band like Galarian Darmanitan, or you can do Scarf, Guts, or you can do choice band Quick Feet. You can do tons of stuff like that, and it's just real fun to mess around with. But that's like for randoms. You get healed in between boss battles, so it's not that important. But overall, this thing is just like monstrously good. It's Teddy Ursa is quite weak. Unlike Doduo, which kind of it gets like Flame Wheel and I think Bulldoze, you do kind of need to like get to Ursaring before Teddy Ursa's okay. Or you need to give it Eviolite, but by the time you get Eviolite, you can just evolve it into Ursaring. It's like, no, you know what I mean. Overall, I think that Ursaring is going to go in A tier, just because of his flexibility. It's like incredible. You can just do whatever you want with him. You can run him on Trick Room, you can make him bulky. He's got like unresisted stab, so you can do that like cheesy bulk up substitute leftovers type set you would do on like Annihilate and just do it on Ursaring, but go for like a sweep with like Drain Punch and Shadow Punch instead of Rage Fist. You can even do Swords Dance, because like again, Shadow Punch, Drain Punch for recovery, and then like Shadow Sneak for priority to like take care of your speed. You can just do whatever you want with it. It's so fun to use. Such a lovable design too. But I think that's pretty much it for Ursaring. Went over all the important stuff. Yeah, Belly Drum Shadow Sneak is just goofy. You will miss out on KOs. That's just, Shadow Sneak is just too weak, but like if your opponent is chipped, you can probably get away with it. It's real fun. Belly Drum Sweeps are so fun to pull off in this game. Poliwrath is like the king of that in this game because they gave it Surging Strikes and Jet Punch, but yeah, maybe Belly Drum Ursaring. He's so strong. Belly Drum gives you enough that you can honestly invest fully into speed and HP and just run like a decent attack stat. Or like an un-EV'd attack stat and just get away with it because of Belly Drum. And then from there you actually have like the speed to like outspeed something. And then Drain Punch for recovery, you can just get away with it. It's so goofy. But yeah, that's it for Ursaring. So next up is Mantine, not Mantike. That is the pre-evolved form down there, the little stingray. You can't see it in this sprite, but whenever you send him into battle, he's got 2 little circles, and then like a line connecting them, and it's like a little smiley face. It's so cute. Sevian Mantine is a poison electric version of Mantine that gets a few abilities, but realistically you're going to run Storm Drain. So you get to be an electric type that actually hard counters water types instead of just checking them because like you're neutral to them, but like instead you actually are completely immune. And I believe you even get a special attack buff, so you actually hard counter water types, which is incredibly nice. You have access to 100 special attack, 120 special defense, and more impressively, 95 speed. For like a defensive Pokemon, 95 speed is incredible. You've got like basically electric poison moves, you know, Roost, Thunder Wave, which is buffed in Radical Red to always be accurate if you're an electric type. So Mantine here would get 100% accuracy, but Carnivine only gets 90. You know, big sad. You can use Sludge Bomb, Thunderbolt. You do get access to the bird moves that Mantine originally had, like Roost, Defog, you know, Haze. You have like Sludge Wave, Toxic, and Venoshock, which is actually a decent combo because, you know, you can just dual status on this with like Thunder Wave and Toxic, and then just pivot out with Volt Switch or stay in and kill it with Venoshock. It's a pretty good combo to do that, and then substitute, protect, Surf. You know, Surf actually is kind of nice because you're 4 times weak to ground. So being able to kill ground types instead of have to always switch out is kind of nice, but really I think dual status like Volt Switch pivoting is just so nice on this thing. That's what I did for my entire run. This thing would always just switch into something because like it's got good special defense and then like decent HP and defense, so you just like EV it in health and speed, and then it would just come in, status something, and then switch out, and it would like always be able to do that. It only struggled to 1v1 when it had that set, but if you just run this thing with like special attack and speed, it's like Sludge Wave Thunderbolt is still like decent in offense. Really, the poison typing kind of acts as like helping deal with what electric can't do, where like you get resisted by grass, so instead you just hit him with Sludge Wave. Same with electric types, you can't like hit electric types, so you just hit him with Sludge Wave. And then you can't hit ground types if you have Surf, so you're like perfect offensively. I think like the only thing that really you can't really get through is like I think dragons. A lot of dragons tend to resist poison, unless I'm mistaken. But like you don't fight that many dragons. Now all of this, right? I think all of this is like I don't know. I'd put it like you know, here it's like okay. It's good. It's excellent. But there's one thing I left out. As of Radical Red 4.1, Mantine gets Electro Shot by level up. And goddamn, I don't have to tell you how amazing Electro Shot is. Electro Shot is like the most incredible move ever conceived of for rain teams. It's a base 130 power, 100% accurate electric move that essentially acts like Solar Beam, right, and Sun, but electric and rain. And it raises your special attack while you charge it. So you raise your special attack and then attack. Which, it's just like every time you use it compared to like... Obviously the original Electroshock Pokemon was Archaludon. And then they redistributed Electroshock in the ROM hack. So on Archaludon, who already has access to like Draco Meteor Steel Beam, you still end up just clicking Electroshot because of the fact that it raises your special attack, which means compared to everything else, it's like it also has stab. It's so powerful. You really need like an immunity to not be able to just Electroshot something until it's dead. And like Mantine is probably bulky enough that you can just invest speed and attack, or even just speed and HP, and then just keep clicking Electroshot until you're just charged up enough to clean through anything. And it's incredible because like it's already like an A tier Pokemon just from like its generic qualities that it had, or its original qualities it had in Radical Red 4.0 and before. But like with Electroshot, there's no way this is not also in contention for like the best Pokemon of the Sevian forms. Electroshot is just so incredible. It's like that powerful. It's ridiculous. But yeah, perfect offensive coverage, good defensive coverage, like utility moves. You get access to pivoting. You can even like harm your speed so that you do slow Volt Switch, or you can like just keep your speed good and you're like fast Volt Switch. Either way is fine. 70 power is still like an attacking move. You know, like in vanilla, people run Shadow Claw. It's not like 70 is awful. But yeah. Just being an electric type that gets to absolutely hard counter water types, and then being a rain sweeper is just like, it's like ludicrous. Electroshot really do be going kind of crazy. Next up is one of my favorite Pokemon ever, Milotic. I need to make one of those dumb little shorts about Milotic because I love it so much. Maybe I'll do it for this version. But, Sevian Milotic, is a fairy ground type, which is one of those things that where it sounds like absolutely like perfect for competitive because like it's like the only thing that could ever check like Miraidon. It's like kind of just okay for like an actual playthrough if you get this thing, because you have to get all the way to Vermilion City before the care package will give you Prism Scales, so you have to be decently into the game anyways to get Milotic. Why do you get the full evolved form of like everything at Surge? But yeah, you get this thing decently early. It's just useless as a Phoebus, obviously, right? You know, poor little guy. But, if it was just Fairy Ground type and it was Milotic, I think that it'd be a little unfortunate. But you do get access to some pretty amazing qualities. You got Marvel Scale and Competitive, just like Milotic, but they decided to give this thing the hidden ability Serene Grace, which doesn't sound that good until you realize that it gets access to Moonblast, Scorching Sands, and Scald. So you can actually do you can actually get away with like an HP special attack and then Assault Vest set with this thing and still get status spread. You've got, of course, Dazzling Gleam and Draining Kiss. Draining Kiss being particularly powerful as it gives back like a significant portion of the healthy drain. And Fairy hits a lot of things for 4 times effectively, just like a lot of random Pokemon. The Dragon Tail for phasing, Earth Power, Sandstorm, if you want to like... Which, Sandstorm is less important for stalling and more important for Shore Up. Shore Up is an HP recovery move that increases in sand. Running a set like Draining Kiss, Scorching Sand, Sandstorm, and Shore Up, you can like stall a ton of Pokemon with it. You get access to Moonblast, and that chance to lower attack is raised by Serene Grace. It's really incredible. Flip Turn for pivoting, and it's like at the speed tier where you can either make it a slow or fast pivot, whichever you want. You get things like Protect, Stealth Rock, Substitute, Toxic, Haze, and Mirror Coat through breeding. It's like pretty darn good. But I really think Serene Grace is what pushes this thing into like being actually incredible. You've got like the bulk spread, right? You've got 125 special defense, 84 defense, 95 HP, like 105 special attack and 80 speed, which is like the perfect speed tier for either being fast when you want to or slow when you want to. It's just like almost perfect. Like the only thing that's missing is just like attack. It's like still enough that Flip Turn might actually like hurt something that's 4 times weak. But yeah, just like the perfect set of tools. I'm not quite sure though about Fairy Ground type for what this Pokemon wants to do. But I will say offensively, Serene Grace makes this thing incredible. It's more so like a Pokemon that's like offensively minded that you can just take a million hits to. Even though it feels like it should be like a stally Pokemon, I feel like you get way more use out of it, and when I used it, I did get way more use out of it by just slapping 4 attacks on it and just being bulky. Just being like impossible to kill while getting to throw out a million attacks. And like the attacks aren't weak either. It's just like really incredible. And if you get this thing around Erica or Koga, you'll be able to like go get the like tutor moves too, like instantly. It's like really nice. I think really the only thing to consider about it that's kind of negative is just that I think you might rather have like these two. I don't think it necessarily outclasses them. The ground does complement Fairy perfectly though, because you want to get hit, you get hit by like a poison type. Well, ground makes it a neutrality, but then you hit poison types anyway, and then you're weak to steel, which you hit with ground type. And then you're resisted by, like, exactly fire, right? So you have ground typing for that. You do have your ground weaknesses, but, like, that's fine. If you think about this as, like, a Fairy plus, it's, like, perfect. But, for, like, playing the whole game, it's, like, it can be a little annoying to have that ground typing sometimes. But, again, you have, like, a dragon and electric immunity, and then, like, amazing bulk. It's not bad at all. I just think you hear Fairy Ground, and you kind of, like, cream your pants a little, and you think it's going to be, like, the best thing in the game. And then it's just like really good instead of the best. But I think really good still goes up here. It's like literally Ursaring, where it's just incredibly bulky. It has like the ability to go fast or slow, and it's like flexible to the max. Except offensively, I think Milotic is more limited, but then it has stall options where Ursaring doesn't. I actually think we'd put, yeah, I think we'll put Milotic above it. Amazing design, by the way. This thing is perfect design-wise. It's like Milotic, but it comes out of the fucking mud, and it's still like all gorgeous. It's so perfect. It's like the 3 best shades of pink right here. It's so good. Welcome to the carnival. It's Carnivine time. My favorite Vine was probably Damn Daniel. Do I have hotkeys enabled? Vine Boom. Carnivine is actually incredible. Yeah, you weren't fucking expecting that. It's Carnivine, right? You're like, but Sevi and Carnivine is amazing. Poison Steel is actually good when it's on like a defensive Pokemon instead of an offensive one. Because Carnivine has Levitate still, just like how the normal one does. So, on the type chart, you have 1-2 times weakness and that's it. It's incredible. You only have to watch out for fire attacks. And like, 94 HP, 92 defense, 77 special defense. You can EV yourself pretty easily to live the 1 surprise hit, right? On like a coverage move you don't expect. And the thing is, you have like some versatility here. Curse, Gyro Ball, Poison Jab, obviously your stabs, Clear Smog for hazing, right? But hazing that can't be taunted, which is important because you're slow, right? But that means you can run Clear Smog and Gyro Ball and then dump your speed. You can do like slow as possible to get max Gyro Ball damage. You have Snap Trap, which is I believe Galarian Stunfisk's move. Toxic Spikes, Body Press, Defog, Leech Life, which is very useful. Protect, Substitute, Swords Dance, Thunderwave, Toxic. So you can also spread status like crazy. Knock Off, Iron Head. And for a Thunderwave Iron Head flinch, Jirachi is absolutely seething right now. You can do Sleep Powder and Leech Seed through breeding too. Synthesis, Seed Bomb. So like, you get to hard switch in on ground types and then obliterate them with Seed Bomb. You can run Leech Seed, Thunderwave, Toxic, and Sleep Powder and just be an absolute pest to anything. It's like, it's actually so amazing defensively. And while it's not the best offensively, 100 attack is decent. And the thing is, if you just invest entirely into like HP in one defense, one of your defenses, you're so bulky, you get to throw off 1,000,000 attacks anyways. Unlike Milotic, where, you know, like, that's just a good enough offensive combo. Poison Steel is kind of bad offensively, let's be honest. But it doesn't matter. You get to throw out like 2,000,000 attacks before you die. This thing also benefits very well, which I should have mentioned with Mantine, that it gets access to Black Sludge way earlier than you get access to leftovers for everything else. So not only are you like immune to Toxic, and you don't care about burn all the time, but you even get Black Sludge for recovery. So like, even if you get burned, you're still healing off the burn. And then like, you still get 1,000,000 turns, so you can just start wailing on the opponent. It's like, it was the hardest one for me to believe, because like, at first when I started this out, I was like, oh man, time to test out Carnivine, it's gonna suck. But then you like use it, and it's like unbelievably goated. Now obviously, I mean, you can just outspeed in one shot with Flare Blitz, and you can use Electro Shot, so it's not the top tier, but like, Carnivine's incredible. It's like, it's such a unique blend of all these traits of the original Carnivine and the new typing, and it just feels so perfect to use. Another thing to note is, if you get this on New Game Plus, this is like monstrous. I actually think we're gonna like, I don't know if it's better than the other two, honestly, but if you get this on New Game Plus, you can just throw this in against any enemy and just win. This 1v1's anything in the game until you start getting to like Surge Plus. You really need to actually have like that kind of level of power creep to like not be able to 1v1 with this. Like against Brock, I believe this pulled out like a 1v3 on Brock. This 1v3'd Falconer. It put in significant work against everything but Claude's. But no, it even 1v1 Clawitzer because it couldn't touch it. I think it only got killed by Starmie because it used, it got Confusion off. But it almost 1v4'd Misty, or is it 1v5? I can't remember the team right now. But it just sits on all these enemies, and unless it has like a fire move or like something plus, it's like really hard to break through Carnivine. It's just like this unbelievably sturdy teammate. It's like so cool too, because Carnivine is such like a joke of a Pokemon. Because like Monograss mix attacking is awful. Like that's just a terrible like spread and typing combination. But then you put it on like a defensive poison skill type with like the utility set. It jumps up to being like one of the better Pokemon you can have in the game. Obviously, you have access to everything, and if you're playing on easy, you can win with your favorites. But this is like a nice option the whole game, especially on New Game Plus where it's there free the whole game. Any battle that you're struggling with that isn't a fire trainer, you can just pull Carnivine out and just EV it for the situation. It's totally fine. it's such a goofy little guy too. I'm not quite sure what the design is down here. It kind of, I don't know what the tentacles are now, but I do like the snap trap design of the mouth. He's so cool looking too. But I think that's about everything we have to say for Carnivine. He's just really awesome. You don't expect it either, because like the only other poison steel type we have, I think, is like, is it actually Reveroom? Oh no. Yeah. So yeah, this is like incredibly epic. Here it is, the fabled Bolt Beam Attacker. So we actually did end up getting Bolt Beam in the form of Dracozolt and Arctozolt. Yes, yeah, just Arctozolt. He's the single ice electric type, but he's entirely dependent on hail. So it was kind of like we didn't really get a Bolt Beam attacker. We got like a better Alolan Sandslash, give or take. But here it is, Zebstrika, fabled Gen 5 Pokemon Zebstrika, was given the dual typing of Ice, and Ice Beam, Freeze Dry, Blizzard. No, yeah, that's pretty much it. This thing is basically identical to Zebstrika, but with just a few ice moves. Again, you really want to go special attack and speed. You don't want to try and do your weird, like, lower attack. Unfortunately, Zebstrika is just a little unfortunate. It's like, it dies to anything. And I guess since they added the ice typing, they didn't want to bother trying to make it bulky, because, like, that it would have counteracted itself. But at the same time, they didn't bother giving it like a lot better attacking stats, so it still misses out on a lot of KOs. Pretty unfortunately, Blitzel is unusable. Like Dodo is fine, Mantine is fine. You get Carnivine right away, but do not try to use Blitzel. It's pretty bad. They recently let it get Charge Beam or Electro Web early, so you do have Special Electric early, which is nice, and you have Icy Wind, but it's pretty frail. It explodes to the slightest breeze. And really the beauty is just that you get to Thunderbolt everything, and then whatever resists you, like grass and ground, you just hit with Ice Beam. So it's kind of perfect on that. The problem is you're just not hitting those like one-hit KOs that you feel like you should. The gimmick, I feel like, for this was that they specifically gave it Illuminate, and they buffed Illuminate to give you 20% accuracy. So you think like, oh, well, Galvantula has Compound Eye, so he gets to run Thunder, right? It's like, you're still pretty inaccurate. You're like less than 90 with Thunder and Blizzard. But you can run wide lens, and then you're mostly hitting your Thunder and Blizzards. It's still rough enough that I would chain misses, but it's kind of accurate, and you're decently powerful once you're using Thunder and Blizzard, but it ends up feeling more like you kind of just wish it had, like, I don't know, like an Iron Fist-esque ability, and then Thunderbolt and Ice Beam, so you always hit. Which is a shame, because the Illuminate idea is so cool. I wonder why they went out of their way to make it 20% instead of 30% to match Compound Eyes. You are a really fast Volt Switch, so you get to, like, break Sash easy for your team, and you can always Thunder Wave things, right, because you're an Electric type. And interestingly, with, I believe, Thunderbolt, Ice Beam, and Freeze Dry, I think you have perfect neutral coverage against, like, any one type, but I could be wrong. I could be misremembering something. I think the only thing you don't hit for, like, no, because you have Ice for other Electric types. So you have, like, a guaranteed neutral hit, which is pretty cool, but you're kind of at the level where you kind of need something more than a neutral hit. You need to be taking advantage of weaknesses. But again, it is fast enough just to, like, switch into the field anytime and then switch out. Like, as long as you can get it on the field, it can always get itself out of the field pretty easily. Not bad by any means. Electric Ice offensive fast is just so valuable in and of itself that you don't really care that it's kind of not as strong as you would want, and that it just dies to being looked at mean. But yeah, thanks to all the Radical Red changes, though, you can pull Zebstrika out on, like, the Hail route, and, like, maybe you live one attack that you weren't supposed to because of the defense boost. But yeah, Zebstrika, it's an amazing design. I'd like to point that out. That's perfect. Like, Ice Electric Horse, that's beautiful design-wise. But yeah, I went over pretty much everything you're going to do with this. It gets Charge Beam, which is guaranteed attack raise in this game. Power Up Punch. You're not surviving a turn to get the attack raise off, so don't try. Don't get greedy. And then you've got, like, Hidden Power, so, like, I don't know, you can run Hidden Power Grass, I guess, or Hidden Power Water, and, like, Annihilate. Like, Rhyperior, kind of harder than normal. There's, like, 2 tough Rhyperiors you fight, so it's useful. But, like, honestly, Freeze Dry, Ice Beam, or Freeze Dry, Blizzard, Thunder is pretty incredible. I'm trying to think of other things for this. No, because if you get it on Sevian, it's like, it's just paper until you evolve it. It doesn't hit hard either before you evolve it. This is going to be the first B tier. It's, like, completely usable and fine and good, but I do think it's notably lower than all of the other Pokemon we've talked about so far. It's like too specific, and it struggles too much with what it does. Sevian Clauncher. The counterpart to the Calocian Clawitzer or Clauncher? I don't remember what it's... No, they're the same names, right? So this guy is a bug dark type, which before we had Lokix in Gen 9, this is actually a pattern that you'll notice with these Pokemon, is they are unique type combinations that didn't exist before a certain point in time, right? So when Radical Red first came out, we didn't have Gen 8 Pokemon yet, so Mantine, I believe, was actually the first electric poison in this game. And then, like, Ghost Fighting existed, but it was, like, for legendaries, so that was new for, like, Ursaring. We don't have a Fairy Ground type. Obviously, Bolt Beam being for Zebstrika was before Arctozolt. So, this being the first Bug Dark type, it looks very cool. It carries on the asymmetrical design, but the color scheme, the, like, green is so beautiful. This is a Bug Dark type. It still has Mega Launcher, just like normal Clauncher. And it's got an amazing 110 special attack and, like, a surprising 97 speed. I don't know normal Clauncher stats by heart, but I'm almost willing to bet it's faster. This thing is pretty good. For the sheer fact that it gets Stab Dark Pulse, that is boosted by Mega Launcher. It's one of those vicious ring scenarios, like with Dracovish, where it just becomes a math problem. If you have, like, an item that boosts your attacks at all, It just becomes too mathematically big for like neutral or weak enemies to live. Especially with like max special attacks and max speed. You also have good coverage of Aura Spear and Water Pulse for coverage. You get Stab U-Turn, which is going off your weaker attack, but it's still Stab, and it's still U-Turn. You've got your Bug Buzz for your special Stab, and then you've got Dark Pulse. You can even run Flash as like an electric type move for whatever reason, and then still have Hidden Power, which Flash in this game is like 60 base power electric move. It's like Hidden Power electric. You have... Oh, I'm so stupid. I'm like 2 minutes in, I'm not going to redo all that, but I accidentally just read that as Flash, but it's Flash Cannon, the Steel type move. Massive L on my part, right? So, yeah, Flash Cannon. You have Sticky Web, which, as always, is a move that you can just throw on the 4 slot and then throw it out whenever to like support the team. You can obviously build around Sticky Webs, but this Pokemon would more so benefit from it than I think would be a user of it. And at level 100, you do get Origin Pulse. So you finally have your Kyogre special attacking Water Pulse move. Through TM and HM, you do get Sludge Bomb, which is useful for Fairies, because Fairies resist both your stabs. And through Tutor, you get Knock Off, which again is like your weaker stat, but it's still stab and its utility. Really, the dream of Sevian Concher is to run Specs Dark Pulse. You just want to hit, like, as long as the Pokemon doesn't resist it, it's too big of a math equation. It's like 80 times 1.5 for stab, times 1.5 for Mega Launcher, times 1.5 for Specs. It's too much. It starts getting too big. And you're fast enough to actually pull this off against a lot of enemies with max speed investment. You can't really outspeed like that much, especially on normal mode where the enemies are EV'd, but this thing is devastating. If you're faster than the opponent, this thing can just get it killed with a spec set. And if you're okay with like not always one-shotting everything, this thing can come in on like a weakened opponent with a Scarf set and just do that. Now you do need those kind of good items that you get really late, so it's kind of stifled there, and you don't get your moves for a while. Like Sevian Clawitzer? Is that what this little guy is? The little shrimp guy. He's pretty bad. This is a Pokemon you use once it gets its tools. You can't really use it before then. But once you get those tools, man, it's pretty good. I really think the only problem holding it back is just that the typing isn't there for defense. Like, obviously it's a bug type. It's not helping. And then you're a dark type, which... It's good for pivoting, right? You can come in on any psychic type for free. But you gotta outspeed. You're just too frail. Not a bad thing, obviously. It's designed to do what it's designed to do, but it's sort of designed to be one of those... Well, I'm saying that so like authoritatively. It feels like it's designed to be one of those Draco-ish type Pokemon where it's like a math equation that you just like get in the right scenario. I think that it's a little too hampered to go into A tier, but I think it's distinctly better than Zebstrika. When I used both on my playthrough where I was testing all these Pokemon from New Game Plus, this thing was just consistently really like a lot better than Zebstrika. I almost feel like Zebstrika should be a tier below it, but we don't have that many Pokemon to make that many different tiers. To be honest, I don't want to have like one Pokemon in each tier. But yeah, it's really good and really cool. I think that's all I have to say for it. Next up is Wishiwashi. And unfortunately, where there are winners, there must also be losers. I do think Sevian Wishiwashi, spoilers, is the worst Sevian Pokemon, without a doubt. Now, I think it's got potential hires than, I'll say, Lokix. But I think that ultimately it's kind of a little bad. I don't think bad in the context of all Pokemon, but on this list it's the only bad Pokemon. It's super gimped. So 60 HP, 140 attack, 130 defense, 140 special attack, 135 special defense, and 25 speed. So you always go second. That's even slower than like the 30 defensive wall level of like Snorlax and Ferrothorn. They really tried to make sure you always go second. And with the HP, you really don't have those defense stats at 60 HP. You basically have... You have a lot closer to like 50, 100, 100. It's not as impressive as it sounds in practice. And then Ghost Dragon is an interesting defensive typing. You do have quite a bit of resistances and then immunities. So it doesn't sound like it would be that bad, but the reality is just you want to invest fully into like one of your attacking stats. But the problem is you've really just kind of got special moves. Except for Dragon, right? So, like, when it comes to Draco Meteor, if you even get it, which I don't think Wishiwashi did until 4.1, and it might even not still get Draco Meteor, that's like Claire. So that's like Elite 4+, and I don't think you're going to take Wishiwashi to the E4. But you can do it, right? On easy mode, you can beat the game with your favorites, but compared to other things, Wishiwashi struggles a lot. It's got Destiny Bond, okay. Why not use something like Glalie for that? Or, sorry, Frostlass, something kind of faster. It's got utility. It's got Shadow Sneak for speed, so there's a way to overcome your weakened thing. You've got Shadow Ball and Dragon Pulse. You do have Endeavor, which is quite useful because you have naturally low HP. So if you want to do like a defensive Endeavor set, that's something. You've got Outrage and Dragon Hammer. Poltergeist, Thunderbolt, Will-O-Wisp, and Mystical Fire. So you're kind of limited on what you can do in terms of coverage. But you do have Trick Room. And I think that's what this thing was designed for. It was designed to live exactly one hit from anything, even without investment, Trick Room, and then have max attack and special attack stats with EV investment. I think that's the way this was designed to work. It ends up feeling really kind of annoying to use. There's no way to like extend Trick Room. No other Pokemon can set up Trick Room for you, and unless you sweep with it from there, which is kind of difficult because you didn't really have any setup moves. Trick Room is like detrimental to your team unless every Pokemon you're using is like 30 speed, which is never good. Like, obviously there are exceptions, right? Obviously some teams can be like all below 80 and them still be good, but most of the time your entire team benefiting from Trick Room is rough. Because it means any scenario where Trick Room can't be set up, you're just always at a disadvantage. So, like, in the ideal scenario, right, I think that you hit Trick Room on this, and then you have, like, max attack Outrage, max, like, special attack Thunderbolt, and then, like, maybe Shadow Sneak, just to make sure you can always move first, but, like, I don't know, even then, it's just, like, it's just a little rough. You're not getting too many super effective hits with Outrage. I guess at 140 you don't need them, right? That's what Garchomp does, but like Garchomp also has Swords Dance. You do have Will-O-Wisp, but like again, you have 60 HP. If this thing, it might get Pain Split. Maybe I just didn't read it right in like the Radical Red decks. But overall, this thing is just kind of weird. It almost feels like a Pokemon that you should bring, like, for Sabrina specifically if you manage to get it as your first Sevian egg. But, like, even then, it's not going to take, like, a Psychic Terrain Expanding Force. It's just very awkward to try and use this thing. Now, I'm not saying it's bad. In the grand scheme of, like, all Pokemon, right? This thing is, like, probably a B tier, maybe a C tier, where there would be, like, all the way down to, like, D, E, and F tiers. But, like, it just feels like compared to all these other Pokemon that have, like, either, like, one thing it does very well, or, like, a few things it can do good, or just being amazing at what it does, it's just kind of not the best. I feel like if you want to use a Trick Room Mon, you might use something else that's, like, able to set up. Or I don't know. You do have defensive utility. I think I already went over that, but it feels very weird to try and use this thing. But you do hit quite hard. Even if you do even if you just do HP and attack, and then you use like special attacks whenever, you're still hitting decently hard because it's got good stats. The problem is just like you're not really a bulky attacker because of the way HP, and because you always move second, you always get hit. So you do have to like take more hits than like every other Pokemon on the list. Like even Carnivine at 36, like I don't know. Sometimes you'll outspeed like an opposing Ferrothorn. You know, an opposing. Their 36 is not the worst, but like 25 is a little rough. Especially when you consider your IVs. Something like 30 or 40 is like a lot better than 25. I think that's everything to go over for Sevian Wishiwashi. If you get this thing through the Sevian gift code, you can't use it until it gets enough HP to transform. That's exactly how Wishiwashi works, and I don't know the exact level, but that also means it's extra useless at the start, which is kind of bad. Next up, we have maybe the most forgotten Pokemon of all time, Dhelmise, and it's been replaced by a water grass type. That type is definitely not new to the Pokedex. Ludicolo exists, but I do think it's a cool... I kind of made fun of it at the start, but it is a cool rendition of Dhelmise. And ultimately, though, I think it is a shame that as a Dhelmise clone, it does not have a clone of Dhelmise's ability Steelworker for like whatever type you wanted to do. But I suppose it makes sense, right? To be different. It's got Sap Sipper, Gooey, and Tinted Lens, so you can either go for like hard countering opposing grass type, you can go for speed control, or you can go for just like spec sets and then just like be fine with Giga Drain because it's not bad anymore offensively. You've got like the like spread that's like defensive. You have 90, 105, 95 defenses, and then 106 special attacks. So you're kind of like not as extreme Milotic offensively. You are slow though. Then you've got like the utility moves, right? Rapid Spin, Knock Off, Flip Turn, Substitute Toxic. You do have Body Press, which is kind of interesting. Leech Seed. You can do like max defense to be physical, and then use Body Press as an attacking move. It's kind of interesting coverage. And then you do get access to Scald and Giga Drain, which together is pretty nasty. You get Flash Cannon for whatever reason. Ice Beam, because every water type gets Ice Beam, and that hits your flying weakness. But you do have Core Blast, which means Tinted Lens Core Blast is pretty devastating. And you have like Natural Bulk to just kind of get off a hit anyways. It's kind of like Hisuian Electrode for Core Blast, right? Because it's the other Pokemon that gets it. But instead of being something fast that just always gets to hit it first and then die from the recoil, you're like slow, but you're probably actually going to like damage what you're attacking because of Tinted Lens. It's like not that like insane, despite the fact that it has good utility moves like Rapid Spin, Knockoff, but what it does want to do is pretty good. I think it's gonna go like in this tier. I mean, it's alright. It doesn't. Like... I do know that with the right support, this thing is like amazing. If you run, I believe, max defense, max special attack, you can fish for Scald pretty reliably and then just become unkillable physically, and then run Body Press as an attacking option too. And especially with Leech Seed, you can just like hard wall a bunch of stuff, especially with Sap Sipper. You can force switches and then get a Leech Seed on the switch. It's not like I'm saying it's bad. I just think compared to like the things we went over for like all the Pokemon above it, it's not quite as good. I will say that I feel like it's definitely better than Zebstrika, especially because Sap Sipper and then getting access to Ice Beam makes you a hard grass counter, whereas Zebstrika doesn't actually switch into water types or ground types that it wants to hit. Another benefit for Dhelmise is you get it from the start. So if you're doing Sevian New Game Plus, you get access to Dhelmise's stats, Water Gun, Mega Drain right from the start. It's overpowered. It's so ridiculously strong from the start. And you get access to like stab, flip, turn right after Misty. It's like an insane pivoter early on too. You can build this with like the triple Meowth core and get like fake out U-turn and then like Dhelmise like flip turn. You can just infinitely pivot. It's super broken early, but I do think it falls off a little bit. It does have a place though, because I do think rain teams are like the best general style for any type of thing in Radical Red. I believe that Nuzlocking, you can guarantee yourself a Politoed, and then you have like a guaranteed Marshtomp from the start. And just in general, with like all the Pokemon that benefit from electric support, like Archaludon, like Belly Drum, Poliwrath, Mega Swampert, Battle Bond, Ash Greninja, Dracovish. The rain is just insane. And being able to put this thing on a rain team with Ice Beam to counter like grass types that might otherwise give you like a tiny bit of trouble is pretty nice. Basically sort of like Ogerpon if you came here from the short. But it's more bulky minded than fast offense minded. It's very good though. I don't think it's bad at all. It's a very excellent Pokemon. Next we have Sevian Centiskorch, who I think is going to be... I think I'm just going to spoil it, and I think I'm going to say he's in the strongest contention possible for being one of the best two. Centiskorch is pretty cool. Bug Ground, which might be unique. I'm pretty sure is unique, even in the modern 1000 plus Pokemon era. I'm pretty sure Bug Ground is unique. White Smoke for no Intimidate, or Mold Breaker to hit like Levitate Mons. So Mold Breaker on ground in particular is good because of Levitate. You've got 100 HP, 90 special defense, so you're like specially bulky, and then good attack and speed, 115 and 90, so you're like really strong. You're just not quite super fast, but like fast enough to like still EV train and then go first, and then anything you're not going first on, you've got probably enough bulk to just 1v1 anyways. Bug Ground is decent offensively. X-Scissor, Coil, Crunch, Stomping Tantrum, Lunge, Earthquake, Stone Edge, High Horsepower if you want to separate for singles or doubles, Leech Life for recovery, Rock Slide, Drill Run, Mega Horn. You can do Pin Missile and Rock Blast with a loaded dice. You even get Sandstorm, which is important because Centiskorch does actually get a Mega. There is Mega Sevian Centiskorch, which is actually, I think, unique. Because even though Galarian Slowbro is in the game, there is no Mega Galarian Slowbro. So this is actually the first case where a Pokemon has a regional form and a regional Mega Evolution. You can see him down there. Mega Centiskorch is fucking sick. Just look at him. That's everything we wanted my bug ground boy to be. He's so epic. And he looks so menacing too. He's got the big jaw. The Mega comes with 150 attack and 120 speed. It's a true Mega. It's a real Mega Evolution, baby. It gets to also get Arena Trap or Sand Force, which are just like perfect. You get to trap whatever you want and kill it, or you get Sand Force, so you kill everything anyways. It's a Life Orb boost in sand. You get to set up your own sand too. You can actually hit Sandstorm, get chip on the opponents, and then get attack for you. Now, I do think Coil setting up is better, because it makes your Stone Edges perfectly accurate, and it makes you bulkier, but like on a sand team already, this thing can just come out and just be an instant threat. It's so devastating. Mega Centiskorch is insane. It's so powerful. And the craziest thing is, this benefits not only from the Sevian New Game Plus cheat code, but also the Mega cheat code. The instant you beat Lieutenant Surge, you can have Mega Centiskorch on your team. That's just too early for 150 attack, 120 speed, man. It's so good. And like, you've also got Leech Life. So if you want to do a Coil setup instead of a Sandstorm setup, you can do you can Arena Trap something that can't hurt you, and then start coiling, and then Leech Life to get all your health back. So, like, you're just set. This thing is incredible. Now, I will say that Sand Arena Trap probably does have more benefits in general, because in Radical Red, the opponents will actually switch. You might even say a little too much. I'm like really bad at the game, but I've learned it a good bit. It still feels a little weird sometimes. The opponents will just randomly switch. So being able to like guarantee come in and trap something and kill it is amazing. But like unlike Dodrio, which is like doing its job to kill one thing and it has to run Choice Band or Focus Sash Reversal, you're the fucking good ass Pokemon. You're fucking Mega Centiskorch. So like I honestly think Mega Centiskorch or Centiskorch Sevian is like really good. The problem is, while I do think it has that role of being incredible early, I do think there are better Megas, like Mega Beedrill. Any pseudo that has a Mega is probably better. There's like the Mega starters you get. Mega Blaziken is insane. Mega Swampert fits on rain teams way too well. Mega Sceptile can also just be like a surprisingly fast Pokemon because they gave it Technician and like Scale Shot, Bullet Seed. You can do some stuff like that. I think that you've got really steep Mega slot competition in this game, especially with Mega Lucario, all sorts of other crazy Megas, and that's the only reason I think it's not S tier. Is because the Mega is jacked, the Mega is insane. Like, I cannot stress this enough. The Mega is S+ tier, like Z tier, top tier. But, again, they decided to keep the one, for you, they keep the one Mega per team rule. Some enemies get to do 2 Megas, because fuck you. But, you only get 1 Mega. So I do think that there's a lot of competition for that. But overall, yeah, Centiskorch Mega's S tier. Mega opportunity cost is like way too high, which is a real big shame. It's like so cool. Like design wise, it's probably my favorite out of this bunch. Mega Centiskorch for sure. It's so cool, and especially in game, it just feels so good to use. It's so simple, right? Like I didn't have a ton of moves to list out because you're gonna run like Coil, Bug, Ground, Rock, but like it gets the job done. And even before then, you have the option to do like Loaded Dice, Pin Missile, Rock Blast stuff. I mean, you're not going to, but it's cool. You can always pull out that kind of thing. Yeah, a very, very epic Pokemon. Finally, we have the final Sevian Pokemon. Our Gen 9 representative, Lokix, who is, instead of a Bug Dark type, a Bug Dragon. I don't really see it. I'm gonna be honest, but it looks cool. It looks like a Power Ranger. He looks so fucking sick. He's got like the little visor too. He's got like the like golf hat. It's so silly looking. No, I'm just gonna be straight out with you. This guy's like kind of bad. He's like okay, but like realistically, what I think they were going for with this guy is that he's an early game bug. You get him with the Sevian cheat code, and then he's like evolves at 23, and he's like Tinted Lens. 102 attack, 90 speed. So he's not good, like great, but he's like amazing when you get him right. And I think they went all in on this guy because he gets like, you've already got like Lunge at that point. You get U-turn on the Nugget Bridge, and then I think you get Breaking Swipe pretty soon. So like you're perfectly set, and then like Cross Chop. It's like it's really good, insanely good early, but it falls off really hard. You do have some late game options, so you get Dual Chop to break Sash. First Impression for priority, it's pretty good. You have Axe Kick, which isn't Stab, but with Tinted Lens, it's also a pretty good fighting move. And then Scale Shot, so you can try and raise your speed. That's kind of cool. You've got Leech Life, Swords Dance, Triple Axle, and U-turn, Trailblaze. So you can do like Swords Dance into Scale Shot, and then like nothing except fairies can actually resist it. Because I believe there are no 4 times dragons resist. There's only Steel type resisting it, and then fairies being immune. So you can get away with that. It's pretty cool. And then Yeah, like, there's no resistances to U-turn. There's no, like, immunities. So the worst case is that your opponent 1 times resisted, which you can still break Sash. And then, like, first impression for, like, coming in, like, Choice Band, Tinted Lens, and first impression is really good. It actually tore up, I think, OU a bit, just because of how strong Choice Band, first impression, Tinted Lens is. There's no option to Terra in this game, which is also why that was so good, because you would Terra Bug, and then you would just always hard switch out into something and come back in. But you don't really get to do that in this game. I don't know if the designers just don't like Terra, or if they just don't want to implement it. Maybe it's really difficult to implement Terra. I have to imagine it'd be really difficult. More so, I feel like it'd be impossible to balance the game around it. You just spam Terra normal extreme speed on something and then just win the game. But yeah, this thing is extremely straightforward. You're just trying to get, like, Tinted Lens bug moves, and then, like, also you have Dragon Stab. I will say this is not exactly what I pictured as Bug Dragon. Not gonna cap, but it's a very... I feel like compared to all these other Pokemon, which are balanced to, like, actually be good Pokemon throughout the entire experience, or to get a noticeable spike once they evolve if they kind of struggled before. I feel like Lokix very much takes on the spirit of, like, an early game bug that's, like, really good when you first get it and then drops off hard. And I kind of like that, like, a lot. Okay. Post-production Nick is a neat here. So I kind of skipped over Noivern, but because I'm still learning how to edit, yeah, I'm just gonna, like, tell you now, not in text. I'm gonna, like, put him after Lokix, and then I'm just gonna, like, resume editing, and then I'm gonna put, like, the little outro statement after Noivern. The way I have this set up is I've literally just had, like, CapCut open for, like, 4 days straight. And anytime you leave a project and come back in, all your syncing shit will get messed up. And I don't know how to fix that, so I've literally just been going at this without closing CapCut. And I can't stress enough, I don't know how to do this otherwise. So just ignore, just pretend Noivern is a Gen 9 Pokemon. Okay, thank you. Next up, we have Rouge the Noivern. Sevian Noivern is a bat with big ears and very big hand-looking things. It's a rock ghost type, which I don't think we have in the official Pokedex. Could be wrong, but I don't believe we do. It's a very cool type combination. Kype. Very cool Kype combination. It's so hard to say that right. Rock ghost typing. I'm just gonna say it. This thing sucks defensively. You think the type combination being a ghost type gives you some use, but, like, damn, dude, rock is the worst secondary typing for ghost. It's pretty rough. Because, like, you want to be, like, a Pokemon with, like, 2 immunities, but then you just switch into, like, anything and it just pulls out a surprise move and kills you. Luckily, you do have 2 very good defensive abilities. Sturdy and Levitate help mitigate that rock weakness a lot. But recently added, because of the fact that Curse Body was removed in 4.1, is Rockhead. So you know where this is going as a rock type. It's a Rockhead Rock Smasher. It is so good. This thing was monstrous even without Rockhead. Running Levitate and Head Smash before 4.1 came out, this thing was just a nuke. Now granted, you can only do that twice, because Head Smash recoil is that bad. Dude, with Rockhead, this thing is insane. It's just a rock type that wants to click Head Smash, and then what other coverage moves it has. It's also got pretty good moves. It's got Spirit Shackle. It's still a Decidueye's move. It can trap the opponent. Shadow Sneak, in case you're up against something that's faster than you somehow. Rock Blast, Rock Slide, Stone Edge, Poltergeist, and Head Smash. Which, at 102 attack, it does need Head Smash a little bit more than I think other Pokemon do. But you can also, before then, you can do Loaded Dice, Rock Blast, which is pretty good, or you can do Wide Lens, Stone Edge. But really, you just want to get this thing in and you want to click rock moves. It's really fast and really strong offensively. And then with TM and HMs, you've got like Brave Bird to take advantage of Rockhead, which is really good. You've got Dragon Dance eventually, but that might be more post-game. I wasn't able to use Dragon Dance on this, I think, for the vanilla game. So unless I just looked in the wrong place or didn't find it, it's post-game. But even then in the post-game, I mean, Dragon Dance means you can like EV like 100 in a speed and then just not worry about it because you're fast enough, like at 123 speed, that you can actually get away with doing like those weird like 100 speed EVs and then like max attack and then like HP EVing to like try and live certain hits to like get Dragon Dance off and then be stronger and faster. You know, like that weird stuff. You get access to Earthquake Leech, like Taunt, U-Turn, and Will-O-Wisp. Like amazing tools to have as like a fast Pokemon. And then through the tutors, you get things like Fire Fang, you get the Elemental Fangs, Iron Head, which because of your speed you can do Flinch Cheese. Knockoff, you can do Psychic Fangs, Stealth Rock, Tailwind for team support, that's always really good. And you even get like Defog, so you're like a really fast offensive Pokemon that can do things like set up Stealth Rock or defog them away. And then like all you kind of need is like Head Smash, so like one really good set on this thing is just Head Smash, U-Turn, Defog, Stealth Rock. It like enables you to always have Stealth Rock on the field, and then it means you can either deny the opponent rocks and then set up yours, or you can come in and then get rid of rocks for your side. Which, like, in some of the later boss battles where they start focusing on stealth rocks to make sure you can't use Focus Sash, it's like pretty good utility to have. It's also got Taunt to deny stealth rocks in the first place and then attack. It's a really fast taunter. I believe this is, I could just be misremembering, but I believe this is actually faster than Infernape. So, like, specifically for, what's his name, Bruno? This is a very good Pokemon for that lead situation. I don't know that you'd want to take this guy to the Elite Four, but I don't know. You never know. But really, the greatest success I had with this was just using it once it got Rock Blast, and I had Loaded Dice, was Loaded Dice Rock Blast. It gives you higher chance to crit, and it can go to 125 power, which is really good. And if you're like intimidated or whatever, it has a higher chance to crit to like ignore that, which is pretty good. The only thing I'm going to say is just that this is Noivern, so Noibat. Yeah. Rouge down here is like unusable. It's rough. I tried it, and I tried it for like 20 levels too. You get like, in 4.1, you get the Elemental Fangs super early because they're available inside Cerulean. But god damn, you do not take a neutral hit as Noibat. You just explode. It's actually worse than Blitzel. I think that Noivern ends up as like an A tier.
That's what I'm talking about! That's why he's leaving me!
Almost purely just because of Head Smash. And the fact that you're fast, but Noibat just cannot take a hit, ever. You have to be immune to the attack. It has to be a poison move, or you have to be immune. That's like it. I think maybe you could resist, like... No, you're not resisting normal. You're just immune to it. Yeah, you're basically resisting poison. Because you're 4 times resistant to it. But you just explode without your defensive abilities. But it's not trying to be defensive, so it doesn't really matter. It's like sort of straightforward, but then you've also got like the surprising flexibility. Really, the only thing on Noivern that I'm gonna say like every set is gonna use is Head Smash, right? Because like I'm assuming you're doing this for in-game. We established that at the start, so this isn't like a Nuzlocke mon where it's just gimped because it can't use its best tool because then you die. Even then, hilariously enough, if you choose to run like Levitate so you can pivot easier, you can almost use Head Smash as a pivot move. Like, if you're not going to KO the opponent, but you'll KO yourself with Recoil, you can actually use that to, like, pivot yourself. Which is kind of goofy. Head Smash will do so much recoil, you can actually get, like, explosion death pivots off of Head Smash without Rockhead. But I do think Rockhead is going to be the preferred ability for, like, the foreseeable future. It's so amazing. So good. looking at this, I feel like actually Lokix might actually need to be a tier lower than those three. But it's not that bad. Maybe Clawitzer just needs to be a tier higher. Clawitzer is really good. It's not Mega Centiskorch good. It's not Carnivine good. Dude, maybe Carnivine needs to go above Ursaring. Carnivine's real good. Carnivine's real good. You never thought you would see a video giving Carnivine the love he needs. Dude, let's be honest. Electro Shot is really good. I think this is my ranking of the Sevian Pokemon from Pokemon Radical Red. The main reason I wanted to make this list in particular is, I'm gonna say it, people really don't understand how to design Pokemon that like shit on Pokemon designs. Everyone makes fun of Power World, right, for just plagiarizing the designs. I'll do something with the mouse, you know, for you people who need stimulation. Well, why don't we do this? Yeah, we'll do this. And then people like shit on Power World and stuff for just plagiarizing, but designing Pokemon that feel like Pokemon is really tough. And I get that they're working with the base design already, so they have something to go off of, but these all feel like Pokemon. I think with the exception of Lokix, these are all like Pokemon. They're Pokemon, right? And that's like, that's so cool. They look so cool. They feel so good to use on New Game Plus with Sevian. And I like that they all feel lovingly made. The only Pokemon that feels a little bit like, maybe it was made just to be made was like Dhelmise. Compared to everything else, but like, I don't know. Maybe I just don't get it. But yeah, all these Pokemon are so good and so cool. And I've just been obsessed with Radical Red lately. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Compared to any vanilla Pokemon game, it easily is in a tier of its own. I think the only games that come close would be like hypothetical Sun and Moon that don't have dialogue. And like, that's basically it. No other Pokemon games are like this. There is some like cringe ass shit in Radical Red, I'm not gonna cap. Like, every time you fight someone with the name Dumbass in it, it kind of is like, okay. I especially don't like the JoJo guy. I don't want to acknowledge it, but I'm just gonna say I don't like it. But like, you know, you gotta learn when to take the stick out of your ass. It's an amazing fan game. It's like lovingly made, and like it's so quality. It's like so good, and there's so much love in it. That's why I wanted to cover the Sevian Pokemon specifically. I mean, look at that. They didn't even just make it the thing where it's like the evolution is just different, right? Like, Rowlet into Dartrix and then it evolves differently. Like, they actually went the full mile, and there's like, you're never going to use them, but like, there's Sevian Nimble. I talked about how bad he was, but there's Noibat. They like went the full mile. And they're all like, the art's super clean for like being Heart Gold, Soul Silver era style. The sprite work is super well implemented. It doesn't look out of place. The like visual design is like on point for Pokemon. It's just incredible. So yeah.